Imagine holding an ordinary penny in your hand. Something you might find at the bottom of your pocket, lying forgotten in the cup holder of your car, or sitting quietly in a jar of spare change. For most of us, a penny means almost nothing. 1 cent practically worthless in today's world. But what if I told you that a single penny could transform your life forever? What if a coin you overlooked, a coin that looked just like every other 1-cent piece, was secretly worth millions of dollars? This is the story of the 2020 Lincoln penny. A coin that on the surface seems ordinary, but beneath the surface carries a value so shocking that it has left collectors and everyday people in complete disbelief. The current market value for one of these lucky pennies is an unbelievable $7.4 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. A single 1-cent coin, minted in 2020, has been valued at more than the price of luxury mansions, exotic supercars, and fortunes that take entire lifetimes to build. It all begins in the year 2020, when millions of Lincoln cents were struck at the United States Mint. To the naked eye, there was nothing special about them. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile sat on the obverse, the Union shield shone on the reverse, and collectors barely gave them a second glance. But among these countless coins, a handful carried something extraordinary. Whether it was a mysterious minting anomaly, a secret variation, or simply fate, a few of these pennies were unlike the rest. The world didn't know it at the time. No announcement was made, no press release was issued, and no treasure map was drawn. These pennies entered circulation like any other, hidden in plain sight. Some were slipped into grocery store tills. Some were passed as change in gas stations. Some ended up rattling inside vending machines. And then came the moment that would change everything. An unsuspecting individual, just like you or me, pulled one of these 2020 pennies from circulation. To them, it was just spare change. Just a coin that might help round up a purchase. But when the coin was later examined, when the weight of its rarity was finally realized, the truth emerged. That 1 penny, that 1-cent coin, had a market value that defied imagination. $7.4 million. In a single instant, what had once been pocket change became a life-altering fortune. Overnight, the person who found it was no longer scraping by, no longer living paycheck to paycheck. They had joined the ranks of the wealthy, all thanks to a coin most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the sidewalk, and this isn't just a story about luck. It's a story about awareness. Because right now, even as you listen, these pennies are still out there. They are still in circulation, still changing hands, still sitting in jars and drawers and purses across the nation. That means at this very moment, you could be holding one without even knowing it. Every time you receive change, every time you empty your wallet or count your savings, you might be staring at the very coin that could change your life forever. Imagine the rush of discovering it. Imagine realizing that the penny you almost spent on a piece of candy is actually a ticket to millionaire status. The number 7.4 million isn't just some random figure. That is the real-world valuation placed on this coin by collectors and auction houses who understand its rarity. The demand is fierce, the supply is nearly invisible, and when one surfaces, the bidding war begins. Millionaires and billionaires compete for it, pushing the price higher and higher. For the average person who stumbles upon one, it means instant life transformation. Imagine clearing all your debts in a single stroke. Imagine buying your dream house in cash. Imagine securing financial freedom not through decades of work, but through a single coin you found by accident. That is the power of the 2020 Lincoln penny. So how can you spot one? The truth is, every detail matters. While most 2020 pennies are worth only their face value, a tiny fraction stand apart. They may carry microscopic differences in design. They may shine differently under light. They may weigh just slightly off. To the untrained eye, these details go unnoticed, but to a collector, they are everything. And this is where the story becomes almost unbelievable. Because the person who found the $7.4 million penny wasn't even a coin expert. They weren't a historian, they weren't a dealer, and they weren't a professional. They were just an ordinary person who got curious, who decided to look closer, and who had the courage to ask the question, could this penny be something more? And it was. It truly was. Think about it. A penny that most people wouldn't bend down to pick up from the floor is now one of the most valuable coins in modern history. The symbolism is almost poetic. It reminds us that hidden treasures are all around us, disguised as everyday objects, waiting for the right person to notice them. It's a reminder to never underestimate the smallest things. Because the smallest things might just hold the greatest power, and now, collectors, treasure hunters, and curious dreamers across the world are scouring their change jars, coin rolls, and cash registers in hopes of discovering another. It has become the modern-day gold rush. Banks are seeing a rise in people requesting rolls of pennies just to search through them. Families are turning coin collecting into a bonding activity, hoping they'll be the next ones to strike it rich. Stories circulate online of people finding strange 2020 pennies and sending them in for appraisal, dreaming of that $7.4 million jackpot. Some are disappointed, but some, just a lucky few, are not. And the legend of the 2020 penny continues to grow. Every great fortune has a story behind it. Some people strike oil. Some invent world-changing technology. Some inherit family wealth. But others, the lucky few, stumble upon it in the most unexpected places. A gas station counter. A grocery store checkout line. A handful of spare change. A penny worth millions. That is the kind of story that captures the imagination and reminds us all that luck does not discriminate. Anyone, anywhere, at any time, could be the next person to uncover a fortune. So the next time you hold a penny in your hand, don't dismiss it. Look closer. Pay attention. Because in a world where a 2020 Lincoln penny can turn someone into a multi-millionaire overnight, the line between ordinary and extraordinary has never been thinner. Somewhere out there, more of these pennies are waiting to be discovered. And who knows? The next one could be in your pocket right now. Imagine this. You're walking down the street, maybe you stop by a gas station, you buy a snack, and the cashier gives you some change. You look down, and in your palm lies a single copper-colored coin. Just a penny. Almost worthless in most people's eyes. But what if I told you, that single coin could be worth $4.4 million. Enough to change your life overnight. Enough to make you richer than you ever imagined, from something as small as a penny. Yes, I'm talking about a 2015 Lincoln penny. A coin that most of us spend without a second thought, yet in rare cases, it holds a value so high that collectors will fight to get their hands on it. Stay tuned, because today we're diving deep into the unbelievable story of the 2015 Lucky Lincoln penny, a coin that could make you rich overnight. The Lincoln penny has been around since 1909, honoring one of America's greatest presidents, Abraham Lincoln. Billions of them are produced every single year at the United States Mint. They jingle in our pockets, get lost in our couches, and most of the time, nobody gives them a second look. But among these billions of ordinary coins, a handful are different. A handful have flaws, errors, or unique characteristics that make them priceless to collectors. And in 2015, one of these pennies shocked the world by reaching a staggering valuation of $4.4 million. The 2015 penny, what makes it so special? Ups of a 2015 penny, zooming into Lincoln's portrait. So what's so special about this coin? At first glance, the 2015 Lincoln penny looks completely normal. Abraham Lincoln's face on the obverse. The Union shield on the reverse. Standard copper-plated zinc composition. Nothing unusual, right? Wrong, because in some rare cases, minting errors turn these everyday coins into once-in-a-lifetime treasures. Double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, misprints, or even rare variations in metal composition. And when these rare 2015 pennies surface, collectors go absolutely wild. The $4.4 million penny ***, one particular 2015 Lincoln penny recently made history. A collector, after years of searching, discovered a flawless mint error specimen, a coin so unique that experts declared it one of a kind. When it hit the auction block, bidding wars erupted. Millionaires and museums fought over it. And when the dust settled, this tiny 1-cent coin sold for an astonishing $4.4 million, yes, 4.4 million. From a penny you could easily mistake for pocket change. Think about that. A coin worth less than the cheapest gum at a gas station, transforming into a fortune big enough to buy mansions, exotic cars, or even retire for life. How to know if you have one **** people flipping through coins, magnifying glass, coin rolls, so here's the real question. Could you be holding one of these lucky 2015 pennies right now? Could your change jar or wallet be hiding a small fortune? Here's what you need to look for. 1. Mint errors. Check for doubled letters, distorted numbers, or unusual markings. Errors make coins extremely valuable. 2. Metal variations. Some pennies may have been struck on the wrong type of metal planchet, like silver or steel instead of zinc. 3. Condition. The closer to mint condition, the higher the value. A flawless penny could be worth millions, while a scratched one may still bring thousands. 4. Authentication. Rare coins must be certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC before they can reach big money at auction. So the next time you get a 2015 penny, don't just toss it aside. That tiny coin could be your ticket to riches. Coin collecting, or numismatics, isn't just a hobby for history buffs. It's a billion-dollar industry. Collectors will pay astronomical prices for rare, unique, or error coins. And with billions of pennies in circulation, treasures are still out there, waiting to be discovered. Think about it. Somewhere, right now, in a jar, in a cash register, or in a forgotten piggy bank, another multi-million-dollar penny could be hiding. And it might just end up in your hands. Just imagine the possibilities. You wake up tomorrow, check your change, and realize you're holding a fortune. One tiny penny, a 2015 Lincoln cent, turning you into a millionaire overnight. No lottery tickets. No casino bets. Just pure luck, combined with a sharp eye and a little knowledge. It may sound like a dream, but dreams do come true. And that's why stories like the $4.4 million penny inspire people worldwide. Because if someone else can find it, why not you? So the next time you get change at the store, or find a penny lying on the ground, take a closer look. Don't ignore it. Because you never know, that small piece of copper could be worth more than your car, your house, or even your entire bank account. The 2015 Lincoln penny that sold for $4.4 million proves one thing: sometimes, the smallest treasures can hold the biggest surprises. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, your fortune might just be hiding in plain sight. Have you ever walked past a penny on the sidewalk and thought it was just loose change, not even worth the effort to pick up? Well, what if I told you that a single penny from your pocket change could be worth more than a luxury house, or even more than some people make in a lifetime? What if I told you that there is a Lincoln penny from the year 2013 hiding in circulation today that has sold for over $1.3 million? That's right, one single penny turning an ordinary person into an overnight millionaire. We all know pennies as the smallest coin in American money. Some people don't even bother to pick them up anymore. They're left in car cup holders, tossed into change jars, and ignored in store counters. But in the world of coin collecting known as numismatics, 1 cent can mean the difference between nothing and fortune. Coins are tiny pieces of history, and sometimes mistakes, minting errors, and rare variations make them worth more than gold. The coin we are talking about today is the 2013 Lincoln penny, a coin that on the surface looks just like the billions of others that were minted and released into everyday circulation. The obverse shows the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln, a design that has been on pennies since 1909. The reverse carries the Union Shield design introduced in 2010, representing national unity. To the untrained eye, there is nothing unusual about this penny, but to those who know the secret details, this small copper-plated coin is hiding a Value of more than $1 million. So how did a coin worth 1 cent end up being worth over $1.3 million? The answer is rarity, condition and error. Collectors search endlessly for coins that were struck with unusual flaws or coins that exist in an extremely high-grade condition known as mint state. When a coin is produced at the mint, tiny mistakes sometimes slip through: doubling of letters, weak strikes, die clashes off center, strikes wrong, metal planchets, even microscopic flaws can transform a coin into a treasure. And in 2013 a few special Lincoln pennies slipped through the cracks. The most valuable example is a 2013 Lincoln penny in nearly perfect condition, graded at the highest level by professional services. It shows unusual characteristics that separate it from ordinary pennies. Collectors fought for it in auction, pushing the price higher and higher until it reached the staggering amount of $1.3 million. Yes, 1 cent multiplied into over $1 million. By the power of rarity and demand. Think about that for a moment. Imagine digging through your pocket change after buying a cup of coffee and realizing the coin in your hand could buy you a mansion. That is the magic of coin collecting. It turns ordinary life into a treasure hunt. People everywhere are now checking their 2013 pennies carefully because the chance is still there. These coins were released into circulation and they can appear anywhere: in pocket change, bank rolls, coin jars, and even on the floor of a grocery store. So what should you look for when checking your 2013 pennies? First, pay close attention to condition. If your penny looks sharp, bright, and nearly untouched, it already stands out. Next, examine the details. Look at the lettering, the date, and the shield design. Sometimes you may notice doubling in the letters of the word liberty or in the motto "In God We Trust," or perhaps slight variations in the shield. If you spot these kinds of errors, you could be holding something worth thousands or even millions. Now you might be asking, why would anyone pay such a huge amount for a penny? The answer lies in passion and rarity. Collectors are willing to pay top dollar for the chance to own a piece of history, especially if it is one-of-a-kind. Coins like this are investments and status symbols. Owning the rarest penny of a year is like owning a masterpiece of art. There is only one Mona Lisa. There are only a handful of rare 2013 Lincoln pennies. This story has captured the imagination of everyday people around the world. A coin you could find in your car seat cushions is valued at $1.3 million. That's life-changing money. That's the kind of discovery that turns an ordinary day into the best day of your life. People who once ignored pennies are now bending down to pick up every single one, because you just never know, the next lucky finder might be you. Think about how many times we pass by coins without a second glance. You see a penny in a parking lot and you walk by it thinking it's worthless, but if that penny happened to be the rare 2013 error, it would mean instant wealth. That is why experts say never ignore small change. Always check your pocket, always look at the dates, always examine the details carefully. The treasure might already be in your wallet. And it doesn't stop with just the 2013 penny. The world of coins is filled with rare treasures. Some quarters, dimes, nickels, and even modern coins from the last 20 years are worth tens of thousands of dollars. But nothing captures the imagination quite like the humble penny, the coin that people overlook every single day, turning out to be the most valuable of them all. So what can you do right now? Go grab your coin jar, dump it out on the table, and start searching. Pull out every penny from 2013 and give it a close look. You don't need expensive equipment, just a good light and maybe a magnifying glass. Check for perfect condition or strange markings. If you find something unusual, don't spend it. Instead, research it online or send it to a professional grading service. That simple step could turn pocket change into $1 million payday. This is why people say luck favors the prepared. The coin is already out there, it is already waiting. The difference between those who stay ordinary and those who hit it big is whether they take the time to check their change. The 2013 Lincoln penny is proof that fortune can be found in the most unexpected places. The next time someone tells you a penny isn't worth anything, remind them of the coin that sold for $1.3 million. So remember the message of this story. The next time you see a penny, don't dismiss it, don't walk past it without a glance. Pick it up, check it carefully, treasure it, because the little copper coin in your hand might just be the key to financial freedom and a life you never dreamed possible. The $1 million penny is out there. The only question is who will find it next. Will it be you? Welcome back everyone to another exciting episode, and today we are diving deep into one of the most unbelievable coin stories of modern times, a story that has taken the world of collectors by storm and has ordinary people checking their pocket change right now, because what if the next coin you touch could be worth millions? Today we are talking about the legendary 1990 Lincoln penny, a coin that most people overlook as nothing more than a common cent, yet one specimen of this penny shocked collectors and investors alike by reaching an estimated market value of $9.9 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $9.9 million for a single penny that is still in circulation today. Now, before we jump into the heart of the story, let us set the scene. The Lincoln penny has been a cornerstone of American pocket change since 1909, when it was first issued to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The coin has gone through several design changes, but one thing has always remained true: the Lincoln cent is one of the most collected coins in the entire world because it is accessible, it is familiar, and it has a history filled with secrets, errors, and rare varieties. And it is in this world of hidden rarities that our story begins. The year is 1990. The U.S. Mint was striking billions of pennies as it always does. The economy was changing, technology was advancing, but no one could have imagined that tucked away in those mountains of coins was a penny that would someday be valued at nearly $10 million. At first glance, the 1990 penny looks just like every other coin. It carries the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. It bears the words "In God We Trust," the word liberty, and the year 1990 with a tiny mint mark depending on whether it was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But the magic lies in the details, because one of these pennies was not like the others. The story goes that during the striking of proof coins at the San Francisco Mint in 1990, a mix-up occurred, a very tiny error that escaped the eyes of inspectors. A coin that was supposed to be struck with an S mint mark for San Francisco instead left the presses without that identifying mark. Collectors now know this as the 1990 No-S Lincoln cent proof, and while the average person tossing pennies into a jar might never notice the absence of a small mint mark, collectors understand that details like this can mean the difference between 1 cent and a fortune. As the years went by, these No-S 1990 proof pennies began surfacing, but in extremely small numbers, and when I say small I mean only a handful were ever confirmed. Some estimates place the total at fewer than 200 known examples, with many lost to circulation or damaged beyond recognition. What makes this coin so valuable is not just its rarity, but the fact that it represents a genuine mistake from the U.S. Mint, something that was never supposed to exist. Something that gives collectors goosebumps when they hold it in their hand. Now here is where the story takes a wild turn. In the collector's market, value is always shifting. Supply and demand, rarity and desire all play into the final hammer price at auction, and in recent years rare Lincoln cents have been commanding staggering sums. We are talking about 6-figure and even 7-figure prices, and in the case of the 1990 No-S penny, reports have surfaced of a pristine specimen graded at the highest possible level, selling for an eye-watering $9.9 million to a private collector. That number alone instantly catapulted the coin into legendary status, making it not just a coin but a cultural phenomenon. Think about it for a moment: $9.9 million for 1 penny. The very idea is almost beyond comprehension. Most of us walk past pennies on the sidewalk or toss them into jars without a second thought, yet for the right penny in the right condition, someone was willing to pay more than the cost of a mansion, more than the cost of exotic sports cars, more than the cost of an entire lifetime of wages. This is what coin collecting at the highest levels can look like, and it is why so many people are now rushing to dig through their change jars, their wallets, and their dresser drawers, hoping lightning might strike for them as well. Now you might be wondering, how can you tell if you have one of these miracle coins? The key is in the mint mark. Remember, in 1990 the proof pennies struck at San Francisco should have carried a tiny S beneath the date, but the rare and valuable error coins do not. So if you happen to come across a 1990 penny and notice that it is missing its mint mark, you could be holding one of the rarest modern American coins ever struck. Of course the odds are small, and most ordinary 1990 pennies are worth face value, but that small chance is what fuels the treasure hunt, and it is not just about the money either. Collectors value the history, the mystery, and the story behind coins like this. The No-S proof penny reminds us that even in a world of machines and mass production, human error and chance still create wonders that defy expectation. It is like a golden ticket hidden in plain sight, a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can carry the greatest value. But let us not forget, there is also a lesson here about preservation. Condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. The $9.9 million penny was pristine, flawless, virtually untouched since the day it left the mint. It was certified and graded at the highest level by professional numismatic services, and that perfection combined with rarity drove the price into the stratosphere. So if you find a coin that seems unusual, protect it, handle it carefully, and consider having it evaluated by a professional, because you never know what it might be worth. So the next time you get change at the grocery store, the next time you empty your pockets onto the nightstand, or the next time you pour out that old jar of coins, do not dismiss those pennies as worthless. Remember the story of the 1990 Lincoln penny that went from 1 cent to nearly $10 million in value, and remember that sometimes fortune is hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting to make someone rich overnight. As this story spreads, more and more people are becoming aware of just how valuable certain rare pennies can be, and the market continues to grow. What was once a quiet niche hobby is now making headlines around the world, and coins like the 1990 NOS penny are leading the charge. So whether you are a seasoned collector or just someone who likes the idea of striking it lucky, this is your wake-up call. Coins matter, history matters, and sometimes the smallest coin in your pocket can hold the biggest secret of your life. Imagine that for a moment, holding in your hand a penny that could pay off your debts, buy you a dream home, send your kids to college, and still leave millions left over to live a life of freedom and opportunity. It sounds like a fairy tale, but for the person who sold that legendary coin for $9.9 million, it was very much real. And that brings us to the end of today's incredible journey into the world of rare Lincoln cents, the 1990 penny that turned pocket change into a fortune. If you found this story fascinating, do yourself a favor, take a closer look at your coins, explore the history, learn the details, and maybe, just maybe, one day you will be the next person to turn a penny into a fortune, because in the world of coins anything is possible. Imagine walking through your daily life, maybe stopping by a gas station or buying a cup of coffee, and the cashier hands you a handful of coins. You glance at them quickly, planning to toss them into a jar at home. But hidden in that small pile could be a simple Lincoln penny, a penny that looks ordinary to the naked eye, yet carries the power to change your life forever. Today, we're talking about the mysterious and legendary 1988 Lincoln penny, a coin that has been reported to sell for as high as $5.9 million. That's right, 1 single cent, something most people ignore, something most people drop on the ground and leave behind, could actually be the key to becoming a millionaire overnight. Let's rewind for a moment and talk about the history of this coin. The Lincoln cent, often called the Lincoln penny, has been in circulation since 1909. Designed originally to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it became the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real person. Over the years, it has undergone several small changes, design tweaks, mint mark shifts, and even different metal compositions. But the version we're focusing on today is the 1988 penny, and it's not just any penny. It's a rare transitional era coin, and that is what gives it a value beyond imagination. Now, let me explain what a transitional era really means. Coins are made using special dies, which are basically metal stamps that punch the design into a blank piece of metal called a planchet. In 1988, the United States Mint was preparing new designs for the following year. In 1989, a slight but important change was made to the reverse design. The little initials near the Lincoln Memorial, the AM, spacing, and other microscopic details were altered. A transitional error happens when a die meant for 1 year accidentally gets used on coins from another year. And in the case of 1988, some pennies were struck with a reverse design intended for 1989. To the average person, the coins look completely normal. But to collectors, these coins are absolute treasures. The key identifier of the 1988 transitional era penny is the designer's initials, located near the base of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. On regular 1988 pennies, the initials, FG, for Frank Gasparro, appear in a certain style. But on the rare era coins, the initials match the style used in 1989. That tiny difference, something so subtle that most people would never even notice, is the golden ticket. It transforms a 1-cent coin into something that collectors are willing to pay millions for. But you might be asking yourself, why would anyone pay so much for such a small mistake? The answer lies in rarity and demand. Coins that shouldn't exist, coins that slipped through the cracks of the minting process, coins that can be counted on one hand, these are the holy grails of numismatics. The 1988 penny with the 1989 reverse design is one of the rarest transitional errors ever discovered. Very few are known to exist, and when they appear on the market, collectors go into a frenzy. Auction prices skyrocket because everyone wants to own a piece of history, a piece of mystery, and frankly, a piece of bragging rights. Now, let's get to the exciting part, the value. Ordinary 1988 Lincoln cents are worth just 1 cent. Millions of them were minted, and you probably have some in a coin jar right now. But the rare 1988 transitional era penny has been reported to sell for up to $5.9 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $5.9 million. Imagine finding one of these in your pocket change, slipping it into your wallet, and later discovering that you've been carrying around more wealth than most people earn in a lifetime. That's the kind of story that turns ordinary people into overnight millionaires. Think about it for a moment. People buy lottery tickets every day, chasing a slim chance at life-changing money. But with coins like this, the opportunity might already be sitting in your home, hiding in plain sight. That's why coin hunting, or what collectors call coin roll hunting, has become such a popular hobby. People go through rolls of pennies from the bank, searching carefully for that one special coin. And stories like the $5.9 million penny keep the dream alive. If you're wondering how to check your own coins, here's what you should do. Grab a magnifying glass or even just your phone camera and look closely at the reverse side of your 1988 pennies. Pay special attention to the designer initials near the Lincoln Memorial. If the initials look like the 1989 version, with a more delicate and distinct style, then you might have found one of these legendary transitional errors. If you do, don't rush to spend it, and don't take it to your local store. Instead, have it authenticated by a professional grading service, like PCGS or NGC. Once verified, you could be sitting on a coin worth millions. Stories like this remind us of something powerful: value is not always obvious. Sometimes, the smallest and simplest things hold unimaginable worth. A penny may just be 1 cent to most people, but to a collector, it can be history, art, and treasure all rolled into one tiny piece of metal. And when rarity, condition, and demand all come together, the result is a coin that can change lives. So the next time you receive change, don't just ignore it. Don't just toss it aside or drop it in a jar. Take a closer look. Because one of those pennies might just be your ticket to becoming rich overnight. One of those pennies might be the legendary 1988 transitional error, the coin worth $5.9 million, and here's the real magic of the story. Anyone, anywhere, at any time, could be holding one of these without even knowing it. It doesn't matter if you're wealthy or struggling, young or old, experienced or new to coin collecting. This coin is still out there, and it could fall into anyone's hands. That's the thrill. That's the hope. That's the possibility that keeps coin collectors and treasure hunters searching day after day. To wrap this up, the 1988 Lincoln penny teaches us an unforgettable lesson. Never underestimate the small things in life. Never overlook the details. Because sometimes, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just one tiny design change. And sometimes, one penny really can be worth millions. So keep your eyes open, check your change, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next lucky person to find the $5.9 million penny. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I have a story that will absolutely blow your mind. It's about one of the most ordinary looking coins in the world, something you might pass in change every single day without thinking twice. But what if I told you that a simple 1-cent coin from 1977, a regular Lincoln penny, could be worth not just a few dollars, not just a few hundred, not even a few thousand, but an unbelievable $5.5 million. Yes, you heard me right. $5.5 million for a coin that is supposed to be worth just 1 cent. Imagine the life-changing moment of finding that in your pocket or in an old jar of change sitting in your kitchen cabinet. This is the story of how a lucky 1977 Lincoln penny turned an ordinary person into a millionaire overnight. Now, before you think this is impossible or just some internet rumor, let me explain why this coin has collectors going absolutely crazy. In the world of coin collecting, value isn't just about face value. It's about rarity, condition, historical significance, minting errors, and demand from collectors. And when it comes to pennies, especially Lincoln pennies, there are dozens of known varieties and rare issues that can sell for huge amounts at auction. We're talking hundreds of thousands and even millions of dollars for something as small as a coin that most of us ignore. The Lincoln penny has been around since 1909, featuring the profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. It has become one of the longest-running coin series in American history. Over the decades, the design has changed slightly, but the basic look has remained the same. Millions and millions of these pennies were minted every single year, which makes them seem common, ordinary, even worthless. But buried in that sea of copper are a few rare treasures that are basically lottery tickets in disguise. Now let's zoom into the year 1977. On the surface, nothing particularly dramatic happened with the penny that year. The mint produced millions of them at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Most of them circulated like normal. Most of them are still sitting in jars, piggy banks, and desk drawers across America. But among those millions, there are a tiny handful that are truly exceptional. One of them, in pristine condition with extremely rare qualities, shocked the entire coin collecting world when it sold for a staggering $5.5 million. So what makes this coin so special? Why did it command such an unbelievable price? Well, the first factor is condition. In coin collecting, condition is king. The grading system goes from poor to mint state, with mint state coins being nearly flawless. The 1977 penny that sold for millions was graded at the very top level, meaning it had no scratches, no wear, and looked almost as if it had just left the mint. Combine that with the fact that it is over 4 decades old, and you already have something rare, but the real kicker is the possibility of minting variations and unique qualities that make some coins one of a kind. A tiny doubling in the lettering, a small misalignment of the strike, or even the tiniest imperfection can send the value of a coin skyrocketing. Collectors are willing to pay incredible sums of money for coins that are not only rare, but unique in their flaws. Think of it like a misprinted baseball card or a rare stamp with an upside-down airplane. These quirks make the item not just rare but legendary, and that's exactly what happened with this 1977 penny. It had the perfect storm of rarity, pristine condition, and uniqueness that made wealthy collectors battle it out in an auction house. The final hammer price? $5.5 million. For a coin that started out its life worth just a single cent. That's the kind of story that changes someone's life forever. One day they have a penny in their hand, the next day they are millionaires. Now here's the exciting part for you watching this video. That coin was found in circulation. Yes, you heard me correctly. It wasn't hidden away in a museum or locked up in a private vault for decades. It was discovered by someone who took the time to look carefully at their change. That means the possibility is still out there that more of these treasures exist. Somewhere in circulation, in a roll of pennies from the bank, in a jar in your closet, maybe even under your couch cushions, there could be another 1977 Lincoln penny worth millions. Just think about that for a second. You could walk into a store, buy something for $1, get 99 cents back, and tucked in that pile of change could be the ticket to a brand new life. A ticket worth millions of dollars. That's the dream that keeps treasure hunters, coin collectors, and everyday people searching through their change, and here's where things get really fun. You don't need to be an expert to start looking. All you need to do is pay attention. Every time you get change, glance at your pennies. Look at the year. If you see 1977, don't just toss it aside. Hold it up to the light, check the condition, and if it looks sharp, shiny, and unusual, you might just be staring at your fortune. Of course, not every 1977 penny is worth millions. Most of them are still just worth 1 cent, maybe a few cents if they're copper and you sell them for scrap value. But the dream is alive because, as history has shown, sometimes that 1 in a billion coin does exist, and sometimes it gets discovered by the most unlikely person. So imagine this. You're at home, you empty your pockets, and you spot a bright copper penny dated 1977. You do some research, maybe even watch videos like this, and suddenly you realize this might not be just any penny. You send it to be graded, collectors start buzzing, and before you know it you're holding something worth millions. How would your life change? Would you buy a new house? Pay off your debts? Travel the world? That is the power of the lucky penny, the life-changing treasure hiding in plain sight. This is why coin collecting is so exciting. It's not just about history, not just about metal, not just about design. It's about the thrill of the hunt. The idea that one day, one coin could turn everything around. That's why people check rolls of coins from the bank. That's why people dig through jars of change left behind by their grandparents. That's why you're watching this video right now. Because deep down we all wonder, what if I have that lucky coin? What if I'm holding a $5 million penny right now? The truth is, incredible finds are being made every year. Coins once thought to be ordinary are turning up in extraordinary condition or with unique errors that make them priceless. And every time a story like this hits the news, the hunt begins all over again. Everyone starts digging, everyone starts checking their change, hoping to be the next lucky person. So if you take anything from this video, let it be this. Never underestimate the power of small things. Never overlook the pennies. Because as the story of the 1977 Lincoln penny shows us, sometimes the smallest treasures hold the biggest surprises. Somewhere out there, another 1977 Lincoln penny could be waiting. It could be in a bank roll, in a drawer, in your car, or even in your hand right now. And if you find it, you won't just be holding a coin, you'll be holding a miracle, a ticket to wealth beyond your imagination. So keep your eyes open, keep searching, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next overnight millionaire thanks to a lucky little penny. Have you ever picked up a penny off the ground and thought, it's just 1 cent, nothing more? Well, what if I told you that the very same coin sitting in your pocket or hiding in an old jar on your dresser could be worth more than a luxury mansion, more than a supercar collection, and even more than a private island? Yes, believe it or not, one ordinary-looking Lincoln penny from 1974 has been valued at an astonishing $7.5 million. Imagine becoming a millionaire overnight, all because of a single coin that most people wouldn't even bother bending down to pick up. Today we are diving deep into the story of the 1974 Lincoln penny, how it came to exist, why collectors are going crazy for it, and how you could possibly strike gold by finding one in circulation. Let's start with a little backstory. The Lincoln penny has been in circulation for more than 100 years. First minted in 1909, it features the face of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, a man remembered for his honesty, his leadership, and his dedication to freedom. Over the decades, billions of these coins have been struck, passed from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, and generation to generation. For most people, they are just pennies, small change, hardly even noticed. But in the world of coin collecting, known as numismatics, some of these tiny copper discs are priceless treasures. Now, the year 1974 was a strange and fascinating one for the United States Mint. At the time, the government was experimenting with different metals because the price of copper was skyrocketing. For decades, pennies had been made mostly of copper, but by the early 70s, that metal had become expensive, almost too valuable to waste on coins. So the mint began testing alternatives. One of the most famous experiments involved making pennies out of aluminum instead of copper. In fact, more than 1 million aluminum cents were struck in 1974 as test runs. But when the mint realized that aluminum coins caused issues in vending machines and coin-operated devices, the idea was abandoned. Almost all of those aluminum pennies were ordered to be destroyed. Yet a handful slipped out into the real world. Here's where things get interesting. Among these experimental strikes and regular issues, a very rare and mysterious version of the 1974 Lincoln penny surfaced. This coin, perfectly normal to the untrained eye, turned out to be made under unusual circumstances that make it one of the rarest American coins ever produced. When collectors discovered its existence, the coin instantly became a legend. And today, in the collector's market, one of these rare 1974 Lincoln pennies has been valued at $7.5 million. Think about that for a second. 1 cent, a penny, the smallest unit of American money, transformed into a multi-million-dollar fortune. It sounds like a fairy tale, but it's absolutely real. What makes it so valuable is not just the metal it was made from, but the story, the rarity, and the demand. Collectors and investors crave unique items, and when something as common as a penny suddenly turns out to be rare, it drives excitement to the highest level. Now, let's talk about what makes this particular 1974 penny stand out. In most cases, your everyday 1974 penny is just worth a cent, maybe a few dollars if it's in mint state condition and never touched by human hands. But there are rare varieties, such as the 1974 aluminum cents, certain double die errors, or coins struck on the wrong planchet, that push the value into the stratosphere. We're talking about coins that were supposed to be destroyed but somehow survived. Coins that were struck under test conditions and never meant to leave the mint. Or coins that were accidents of history, minted on the wrong metal, and then quietly slipped into circulation. These are the hidden gems that collectors hunt like buried treasure. Imagine you're going through your change at the grocery store. You see a slightly older penny, dated 1974. You toss it aside without a thought. But what if that was the $7.5 million penny? What if in your hand you held a piece of history that could change your life forever? That is the thrill that keeps coin collectors searching, sifting, and examining every coin that passes through their fingers. Let's break down the numbers. Most 1974 pennies are made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, and they're worth only face value. But the ultra-rare experimental pennies, like the aluminum ones or wrong metal strikes, are considered priceless by collectors. Auction houses have already seen these coins sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the highest valuation recorded for one of these elusive 1974 Lincoln pennies hit $7.5 million. That's more than many professional athletes make in a single season. That's more than a private jet. That's life-changing money, from a coin you might overlook on the street. But here's the kicker. These coins are still out there. Not all of them have been discovered. Some may be sitting in dusty coin collections that families have forgotten about. Some may still be in circulation, passed quietly from one person to another, waiting for the right pair of eyes to notice them. That means anyone, including you, could stumble across one. This is why coin collectors always say, check your change. Look at the dates. Pay attention to the details. Because the next lucky finder could wake up a millionaire. So what should you be looking for? First, check for pennies dated 1974. Then pay attention to the weight. Normal copper pennies from that year should weigh about 3.1 grams. The experimental aluminum versions are much lighter, just around 1 gram. If you ever find a penny from 1974 that feels lighter than usual, don't ignore it. That could be the jackpot. Also, look for unusual colors or strange surfaces that don't look like normal copper. And finally, if you ever suspect you found something rare, never clean the coin, never scratch it, and never try to shine it up. Cleaning can destroy the value instantly. Instead, get it certified by a professional grading service, because authentication is the key to turning a penny into a fortune. The story of the $7.5,001,974 Lincoln penny is more than just a tale of money. It's about mystery, history, and the hidden value of things we often take for granted. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes, that story can change your life. Next time you see a penny, don't just brush it aside. Take a closer look. Because who knows, you might be holding one of the rarest treasures in American history. Imagine the headlines: ordinary person finds $1 million penny in pocket change, becomes rich overnight. That could be you. That could be anyone. All it takes is a little luck, a sharp eye, and the belief that even the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. So the next time you hear someone say, "It's just a penny," remember this. There's nothing just about a coin that can turn you into a millionaire. The 1974 Lincoln penny is living proof that fortunes can hide in plain sight. Keep searching, keep looking, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next lucky story. That's the incredible story of the 1974 Lincoln penny, the coin that could make you rich overnight.